For what feels like forever, the Metro Vancouver housing market has kind of been this big staring contest between buyers and sellers. But the latest report for October 2025, it suggests someone has finally blinked. The ice might just be breaking, and all the signs are pointing to a major shift in the market.
So that's the million-dollar question, right? After 3 long years of waiting and wondering, is the market finally on the move? Let's dive into the numbers and see what story they're telling us.
All right, let's start with the big picture, because the top line numbers in this report are, well, they're pretty dramatic. They paint a really clear picture of a market that's starting to heat up.
Okay, get this. Total home sales across Greater Vancouver jumped a massive 20%. And that's not over a year, that's in just 1 month. To be clear, that's not some small tremor. That's a significant earthquake in market activity.
And that huge surge in buying, it lit a fire under this next number, the sales to listings ratio. It absolutely shot up to 41%. Now, just to put that in perspective for you, it was sitting at a much cooler 28% just the month before. So you might be wondering, what exactly is this ratio? Well, think of it like a temperature gauge for the market. Anything above 20%, which is where we are now and then some, is officially considered a seller's market. It basically means demand is starting to seriously outpace supply, which is a fundamental change from what we've been seeing. And what's adding even more fuel to this fire is what's happening on the supply side of the equation. While all those sales were climbing, the number of new homes actually hitting the market, it dropped by 17%. So you've got more people trying to buy from a pool of homes that's actually shrinking. The takeaway here is simple. The market is getting tighter for buyers, and that window of choice is definitely getting smaller. And you can really see this tightening effect in another key metric called months of inventory. It just tells you how long it would take to sell every single home currently listed for sale. Well, that number just dropped from 9 months all the way down to 7, which is the lowest it's been since April. Okay, so things are clearly changing, and they're changing fast, but why? What's causing this sudden shift all of a sudden? According to the report, it really boils down to 2 major forces at play. First up, interest rates. For years, they've been the brakes on the market, right? But now, with sub 4% rates actually available, the report says they're becoming a motivation to buy. And second, there's this massive amount of pent-up demand. 3 years of people putting their lives and their moving plans on hold, that's a long time.
And, this quote from the report, it really puts that idea of pent-up demand into real human terms. It's not just some abstract number on a chart. It's about real life happening, and that can only be put on pause for so long.
But here's the thing, this shift isn't happening the same way everywhere. If we zoom right into the city of Vancouver itself, the report shows this really fascinating split. It's like a tale of 2 very different markets. Check this out. Over on the west side, the market's definitely heating up with a 38% sales ratio, mostly driven by houses and townhomes. But then you look at the east side, and it is absolutely on fire. The sales ratio there hit a blistering 45%. That shows some incredibly confident demand. And this split isn't just about location, it's also about what kind of property you're looking for. What's really interesting here is the contrast. Townhome inventory is shrinking fast, pushing it firmly back into a seller's market. But at the same time, the supply of condos is actually piling up. The report calls this one of the best opportunities for condo buyers in decades. A rare opportunity for sure. But the story doesn't stop at Vancouver city limits. Nope. Some of the most intense action is actually happening out in the suburbs. Let's take a look at a couple of standouts. First up, let's head south to Sawwassen, which is posting some just incredible numbers. We're talking a staggering sales to listings ratio of 55%. The report flags this as one of the most active markets anywhere in the Lower Mainland. Just wow. And if you thought that was high, hold on. Let's look at another suburban hotspot, Pitt Meadows. Believe it or not, Pitt Meadows clocked in with an even higher ratio of 61%. Total sales there literally doubled compared to the previous month. That is what you call a red-hot seller's market. And look, this isn't just a few isolated pockets getting hot. The entire Fraser Valley region is also showing some serious signs of life and getting a much-needed lift. All the key stats for the Fraser Valley are pointing in the same direction.
Sales are up, listings are down, and inventory is tightening. Now, it's worth noting it's still technically a buyer's market over there, but the report makes it clear that confidence is steadily rebuilding across the entire region. So, after looking at all this data, the rising sales, the shrinking supply, the confidence coming back, what does it all mean? Well, it all leads to this crucial decision point, what the report frames as the buyer's dilemma. With all these signs pointing to the market shifting and shifting fast, what's the final word? What's the big takeaway for anyone who's been on the fence about buying? The report really doesn't pull any punches. It gives this very direct, very clear piece of advice. It argues against trying to perfectly time the absolute bottom of the market, which is pretty much impossible, and instead it really focuses on the personal side of the decision. And so the report leaves potential buyers with one simple but pretty powerful question to think about. With interest rates now acting as a motivator and that window of opportunity seemingly starting to close, the message is clear. Why wait?